to life with horses when there's a giant winter storm.
I'm going to take you guys around the farm, show you a little bit of the storm and what we're doing to clear it, and give you a little bit of insights into what it's like having a horse farm when you live in Canadian winters. And really, everybody still needs care. So we can't just say, okay, it's cold, we're going to go on a week vacation and get away from all of what's going on at home. It's like, no, you have to be there and make things accessible and help the horses still get the care that they need. So this is during the second kind of start of the snow going through, where we actually hired a skid steer to come because our tractor was having trouble. So between the skid steer, our tractor, and a truck with a plow is what it took to clear a lot of this snow. I think a lot of people don't really get that when you have a farm, just how much work it is to move a lot of the snow. And we got a lot. The 2 feet that you're seeing there is all basically in one day, like 24 hours. And there's lots of things that come up that maybe people don't think of, like even the gates get snowed in and it's very hard to move them. So this is my husband working on opening a gate, and you get a feel for just how much snow came because it went up 2 bars of the gate, and that's just to get into one of the paddocks. And we need to make sure we can get in. I was pretty nervous about whether or not the fields would end up with too short of fencing, but we're keeping the hay troughs really full. Of course, they've got water, so they don't really have much of a need to leave. But it also makes doing any type of Mustang taming very challenging because, as you can see, the snow is so deep. There's parts where it's lower, just depending on where the snowdrifts were, and then parts where it's super deep. So around the shelter, it's not super deep, scaring the Mustangs over into the snow there. But it makes it very hard to walk around. Now, the horses were being super rowdy and running around and playing. And yes, that is little Cadbury and Stewie. This is the Mustang field, which I know I haven't shown you guys a video yet of Cadbury going in with the other horses, but this is him out with the other Mustangs. And I still work on going to see him and saying hello. But me being super duper pregnant, ready to pop, hopefully like any day now, I'd be totally fine if the baby grace us with their presence tomorrow, but we'll see how things go. Takes a little bit of time for these things, but it's really challenging. Like, even if I wasn't pregnant, tromping through the deep snow and trying to have my body language be just right, and especially working with the Mustangs, which when you're taming and gentling them, they can be pretty reactive if you stumble, if you take a wrong step, because they don't know yet that you're not trying to hurt them or anything like that. They're prey animals, so they're worried about a lot of things. So it makes it really hard. You can kind of see me here. I'm trying to approach carefully, but there is no real graceful way to tromp through the snow because some spots are up to my knees, some spots are past my knees. And of course, I'm flailing my arms because I'm trying to keep my balance. And the horses are feeling rowdy and playful after the storm, that they are running around a whole bunch. Just find it super exciting. Of course, eventually they settle down and I do get to have a nice session with Cadbury, but I'll post that in a different video for you guys so you can see, because this is more about the reality of winter life and trying to manage the farm. Which, here's a little bit of my husband moving snow with the tractor. Sometimes people think, oh, you just get on your tractor and you push the snow. It does depend a little bit on the size of your tractor. So we have a tractor that's kind of mid-size. It does a lot of things. It can move round bales, no problem. But in the snow, like here you can see this, the tires are spinning and my husband's kind of stuck and he has to kind of rock forward and back and get the tractor going. So even though the tractor has 4x4 and it's got some nice big wheels and some weight to it, the tractor is essentially bottoming out on the snow because there's so much, and it cannot really push all that much snow all at the same time. And this is my husband using the scraper blade behind the tractor, so you can see it's doing a pretty good job scraping. And this is actually the first winter, I think, since we've been here, which has been over a decade now, that we are like, oh, we really wish we had put the snowblower on the tractor heading into winter because it would be very helpful. Usually the bucket and the scraper blade work just great, but because of all this extra snow that we got from the snowstorm, it's taking an extremely long time to move all of this snow because you can't just push it into a corner. You have to like scoop it and lift it. And also the tractor loses traction if you try to just drive over it. And we have to make space for vehicles to get around, for clients to come see their horses, for us to get in and out, but also just to be accessible because the horses still need their food. So we have their grain, then we have to be able to get to the feed room. We have to be able to drive hay out to them. Plus, we want to make sure that things are accessible in case there's an emergency, that we're able to safely get in and receive help or any of those other pieces. So it's a huge process, and I'm just showing you like one little clip here of my husband working on this tiny little bit of the driveway, and he's making a few feet of progress at a time, which gives you a little bit of insight into how many hours it takes to do a whole farm, all the paths that you need done, because we need to be able to get to the paddocks for the horses, to the arena, to the barn. People need to be able to get to the washroom, especially when you're super pregnant. And then there's all the other things. Like here's an example of my dogs. We got so much snow that my little tiny corgis can actually just jump the fence, no problem. So it's a huge thing. My husband thought he'd try the snow, or a leaf blower, sorry, to try to blow the snow, which was not super successful. So he has to switch over to a shovel. Of course, our dogs come back, get help going back into the area, and my husband's got to be down there digging out our fence line. Otherwise, our dogs can't enjoy the backyard unless they're being watched and monitored to make sure they don't run away. So there's a whole bunch of pieces. I'll show you one more glimpse of the farm so you can see a lot of it piled up everywhere, some of the doors being nearly covered. Let me know what you guys think.
Remember to subscribe and check out harmonyhorsemanship.com for even more learning.